those who want to become a data engineer, or those who are exploring uh, interview questions for data engineering, or those who are working on product, they can learn about this one. So in this module, I'm going to teach about basic things about Scala, and this module aims to teach how to write a basic program, assuming you don't have prior experience of any programming language. So I will start with a brief of introduction of Scala to understand functionality and application. And also I will teach more discuss of the key feature and function of language, data type, function and classes, etc. in detail. And in the end, we will have the basic knowledge to program in Scala. So module objective, learn about the syntax and function in Scala. So for data engineers who want to give the interview for data engineering, or who want to focus or scale up their knowledge, learn about the create use variable, learn about the function in Scala. So first chapter I'm going to start is getting started, getting to know Scala and its history, scalable language, and Scala features, who are using Scala. And the next part I'm going to start is variable in Scala, printing in Scala, immutable variable, mutable variable, data type, challenge declaring a variable, solution review declaring variable, typecasting in Scala, challenging typecasting, solution review, and string and other literals, and type interface and quiz. Next part I'm going to talk about operator and operating. So brief introduction method of function, introduction of operators, arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operator, bitwise operator, assignment operator, challenge using the multiple operator, solution operator, procedure, challenging solution, string and how to use them, introduction, string interpretation with S, challenge, solution, string interpretation, solution review, and then we are going to talk about the Scala collection library, which is very important for each and then array buffer. Then we going to do some challenge and then answer, then list, and then control structure like if and else, decide if, optimize the program, challenge, pass, fail, solution review, and loop, white. And then next part we are going to learn about defining function, challenging, solution, evolution. And the next part is higher order function, which is also important. What is higher order function? Learning by example and simulation with the higher order function, challenging and solution. And then next ninth chapter we are going to learn about class and object, and 10th final remarks. So let's go through the chapter 1, which is very important to learn about basic history about Scala. Let's learn about this one. So this lesson we will introduce to the Scala programming language and multiple paradigm, and we will cover the root, and then multi-paradigm programming language, then Scala through the eye of Java. So Scala is a modern programming language designed and created by Martin Odersky. The design of the language started in 2001 and was released to the public in early 2004. Martin Odersky had huge hands in the implementation of Java-C, which is primary Java compiler, and also designed the generic Java facility for generic programming that added in Java programming language in 2001. So he's very brilliant in Scala. This is always does not come with a surprise that Scala is similar to Java. In many aspects, actually written in the run in JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So Scala is basically written in Java. So Scala's design was influenced by multiple programming language and idea of programming research. In fact, Martinovsky himself has started very few features in Scala can actually be labeled as new. In the Scala, innovation comes primarily from how it's constructed and put together. It was basically designed to be the better language. The second part is multi-paradigm programming language. So Scala is a multi paradigm programming language. So Scala, generics Scala, imperative Scala, reflection Scala, object-oriented Scala, meta-programming Scala, declarative Scala, data flow Scala is concurrent, Scala is functional. So these two are very important. The rest are so Scala is a multi-paradigm language which just as much object oriented as the functional, but what does it mean for programming language is a multi-paradigm. Every language follows the set of rules and pattern to know the paradigm and can classify according to the which paradigm files. Paradigm characteristic the style, concept, and method of language for describing situation and process for solving problem. Hence, each paradigm has a particular application in the best sites. Some of common paradigms include interactive programming, declarative programming, object-oriented programming, functional programming, name a few. While there are few languages purely supported single paradigm, most languages are primarily known as particular paradigm regardless of supporting others. For instance, Haskell is known as a functional programming language but also supports imperative programming. If a language is designed to allow programming in the multiple paradigms and it cannot distinctly classified under the category, it's also known as a multi-paradigm language. Scala designed the idea of a multi-paradigm language is to provide framework in which programmer can work in variety of syntax freely and intermixing constructs from different paradigms. So this is some basic history which we are going to talk about, like Scala is what. Now we are going to talk about the Scala through the eyes of Java. So Scala was the Java programming language. So that Scala is actually written in run in Java virtual machine. Scala program compiled to Xavier bytecode and their runtime performance mostly on for Java program. If you are not familiar with the bytecode, that's pretty fine. All you need to know that Java program does just compile and execute executable file. So what we do, it will convert Java into bytecode instead of they compile into bytecode, which then executed during the runtime. Scala allow you to call Java method, access Java field, inherit from Java. I mean, Scala has there is a way to connect Scala. Scala also reuse Java type. Scala integer is represent Java integer. Scala float represents Java floats. So on the Scala string literal is type of java.lang.string. Java string method can be called from them. While the parallel between Java and Scala is evidence, Scala differ for many way as well as it's being much and more concise and clean with on benefit. In the next lecture, we will learn about Scala scalable nature by exploring two main paradigms. So let's go to the next part. So next part is functional plus object oriented. Scala is functional programming and object oriented. So we are going to cover here Scala object oriented, Scala functional. So these two are object and functional. So what does it mean for a language to be scalable? Scalability is a property of a Scala language to grow with and increase in a scalable means if it is scalable, so many people will use. While there are many reasons the Scala is scalability, most prominent combination is being both object oriented and function. There are other languages that provide both functional and object oriented, but none of able to fuse them together into a uniform language that Scala does. Scala, the second part is Scala is object oriented. So Smalltalk was released in 1970 and was one of the first pure object oriented programming language. You can now find object oriented programming everywhere. It has a dominant world to programming language. The concept behind object oriented program is quite simple, but most of trivial programming requires some form of structure. So most clear cut way to achieving this by using concept of store the container. A programming language can be broadly divided into data and operator to be performed on the data. What we can do it is store a specific data and specific operator on the some type of container. Furthermore, these containers are made by general, hence they are not only store data and operation but also themselves values which can be stored in another container pass as a parameter other container. Object oriented programming, these containers are known as the object. So object, this is definition of object. Alan Key is an inventor of Smalltalk, remarked that in this way, simplest objects have the same construction principle and full computer. It combines data with the operator under the formalized interface. Martin Odersky invented the Scala interface become a Allen key remark. Objects have a lot of to-do language scalability. The same technique applied to the construction of a small program as well as large program. And now, even though object-oriented programming can be found in multiple languages, very few actually follow the principles set by Smalltalk. Scala is on the other hand in pure object-oriented programming language with every value being is object and every operator method is called. So plus is not just a operator in a Scala, but it's a method which a part of much larger class method of data. So this is the which we learn about the object paradigm. Now we are talking about Scala functional. While it's pure object-oriented programming language, Scala is fully functional. Functional programming is a guide by two main ideas. First idea is the functional or first class value. In the programming language, normal functions are passed. Okay, values like string and integer. In the functional programming language, function hold the same status as an integer and a string. Hence, they can be passed as a values other function and can also be written the result of function. So furthermore, like variable, you can declare in the function within another function. So the Scala idea is that method and function should not have a side effect. In other words, when method is called, some value does not change the data place rather than create a new modifies value. This is why Scala variable and data structure are immutable. Okay, so these are a lesson we learn and features of Scala. So now we talk about some basic feature about Scala. So this feature I'm going to talk. Type of interface, immutability means it cannot change. Lazy computation, which is also used in Spark and later the chapter. Case, class, and pattern matching. String interpolation, higher order function, and traits and extensive collection. So these are very important type of interface. So the type of interface in Scala ability to infer type without being them explicitly mentioned. The language is a smart, exclude, detect data type based on the context which object within. Immutability. Immutability is quality being is unchangeable. In a Scala, variable are immutable by default. Once assigned to value to cannot be modified by you and you other programmer. This might not be apparent now, but default immutability one of the Scala's strongest feature. It's a primary use for concurrency control, which manages concurrent operations that do the conflict with each other. You can also create immutable variable by explicitly mentioning in your code. Next part is very important, lazy computation or evolution. So Scala only evaluate an expression when it's required. This is increase the performance by reducing compile time. Case, class, and pattern matching. In Scala, case class are regular classes with the added feature being immutable. This makes them a great modeling immutable data. Case classes are useful for pattern matching, which is used for checking the value against pattern and deconstructing into the constant pattern. String interpolation. So interpolation method allow you to embed a variable directly inside a string, literally allowing them to create a string through the data. Higher order function. Higher order function are a function which take another function as an argument, and they can also return function along with the simple data type. So traits is also collection of abstract and non-abstract method. They are similar to Java interface and simple put while class and object can only inherit from single class. These are simple classes and object inherit from the multiple traits. Extensive collection. Scala provide extensive collection classes and traits which are used by collecting data. They are divided into two broad categories, mutable and immutable. Collection are the content Scala package Scala.collection. So the next very important part, I'm going to talk about who is using Scala. LinkedIn, Twitter, and Guardian and Sony. In the previous lesson, we discussed the Scala better programming language from the being of multi-paradigm and a strongly statically typed language. Statically means when you write program that time it will check. It will not check dynamically, allowing writing concise, readable code within the JVM. Scala appear give the enough reason to why the Scala to learn. However, the Scala is prominent to the industry. LinkedIn website was launched in 2001 and the now largest professional networking in the world within more than 65 million members representing 200 countries. Executive from every Fortune 500 company switched to Scala in 2009. Twitter is extremely popular live, so they also use the Scala. And many Guardian is also used, Sony is also used. So this is how we learn about Scala from scratch. And the coming lecture, I'm going to talk about details about variables and type in Scala. So please like and subscribe my channel.